Today, I want to talk about something that can change the way you live, work, and grow, focusing on yourself, not others. In a world filled with noise, comparison, and distractions, it's easy to lose sight of our own path. We scroll through social media, compare our lives to others, and question our worth based on someone else's highlight reel. But the truth is this: comparison is the thief of joy. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means being self-aware. It means asking, what do I want? What do I need to improve? What makes me happy, strong, and fulfilled? When you put energy into your own growth, you take back your power. You stop measuring your worth by someone else's success and start defining success on your own terms. You are the only constant in your life. Others will come and go, but you are always with you. So why not invest in the one person you're guaranteed to spend forever with? Don't run someone else's race. Run your own, improve every day, not to beat someone, but to be better than you were yesterday. Remember, your journey is yours alone. Respect it, embrace it, and most importantly, focus on yourself, not others. 1. Comparison destroys confidence. One of the most damaging habits we fall into often, without even realizing it, is comparing ourselves to others. It's something we start doing at a young age and carry into adulthood, measuring our worth against what someone else has or appears to have. We compare grades in school, job titles at work, the number of likes on social media, physical appearance, relationships, lifestyles, and even happiness. But this habit does more harm than good. When you compare yourself to others, you focus on what you lack rather than what you have. You begin to see your life through the lens of deficiency. They're more successful than me. She's in better shape. He's more talented. They have it all figured out. This type of thinking breeds insecurity, dissatisfaction, and resentment. It chips away at your confidence, replacing self-belief with self-doubt. The biggest problem is that comparison is rarely fair or accurate. You don't know the full story behind someone's success, their struggles, their sacrifices, or what it's costing them to maintain what you see. Often you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You're measuring your raw footage against their carefully edited version. That's not just unfair, it's toxic. Constant comparison blinds you to your own progress. You could be making incredible strides in your personal journey, but if you're always looking sideways, you'll miss how far you've actually come. It's like running a marathon while staring at someone in another lane. You'll trip, lose momentum, and forget why you started running in the first place. Moreover, comparison fosters a mindset of scarcity. It makes you believe there's only so much success, love, beauty, or happiness to go around, as if someone else's gain is automatically your loss. But the truth is, life is not a zero-sum game. Someone else winning does not mean you're losing. To build real confidence, you must detach your self-worth from others' achievements. Confidence grows from recognizing your unique strengths, celebrating your own victories, no matter how small, and being at peace with your journey. Only when you stop comparing can you start appreciating who you really are and what you're capable of becoming. 2. Growth comes from within. Personal growth is often misunderstood. Many people think it comes from external validation, achievements, recognition, or praise from others. But real, lasting growth doesn't start with applause or attention. It begins deep within you. True growth happens when you pause and reflect on your own thoughts, behaviors, habits, and mindset. It's an internal process, a quiet, personal journey that requires honesty, patience, and self-awareness. When you focus on your inner development, you stop relying on external benchmarks and start building a solid foundation based on who you are and who you want to become. External distractions, especially comparisons with others, pull your focus away from your own development. You might start mimicking someone else's path because it looks successful or impressive from the outside. But just because something worked for someone else doesn't mean it will work for you. Everyone has a different background, different challenges, and a unique purpose. What helps one person grow might not align with your values, your pace, or your goals. Growth is also not about perfection, it's about progress. It doesn't always show up in obvious ways. Sometimes it looks like setting a boundary for the first time. Sometimes it means choosing rest instead of pushing through burnout. It could mean finally being honest with yourself about a bad habit or a toxic pattern you've been avoiding. These steps may seem small or invisible to others, but they are powerful indicators of personal evolution. Focusing on your own growth means constantly checking in with yourself, asking the hard questions. Am I becoming the person I want to be? What am I learning from this experience? What's holding me back, and what do I need to change? This type of self-reflection fuels authentic growth because it forces you to look inward rather than outward. No one else can do this work for you. No amount of outside praise can replace the internal satisfaction of knowing you're genuinely improving on your own terms in your own way. Moreover, internal growth creates a ripple effect. When you grow from within, you naturally show up better in your relationships, your work, and your community. You become more resilient, more focused, and more grounded. You're no longer shaken by others' opinions or driven by the need to impress. Instead, you're motivated by a deeper purpose to become the best version of yourself for yourself. That kind of growth is not temporary. It doesn't fade when the compliments stop or when circumstances change. It stays with you because it came from within. 3. You control your path. One of the most empowering realizations in life is understanding that you are in control of your path. No one else can walk your journey for you. No one else can define what success, happiness, or purpose should look like in your life. You hold the steering wheel, and the direction you choose is entirely up to you. Far too often, people give away their power without even noticing it. They let others' opinions dictate their choices. They follow trends instead of values. They allow fear of judgment to steer them away from what they truly want. But when you live according to someone else's script, you lose touch with your own voice. You end up chasing goals that were never yours to begin with. Goals that might look good on the outside, but feel empty on the inside. Taking control of your path means becoming intentional. It means deciding where you want to go, why you want to go there, and how you plan to get there. It requires clarity of vision and courage to walk a road that may not be popular, praised, or even understood by others. But that's the beauty of personal growth. It's not about pleasing the crowd. It's about honoring your inner compass. You don't need permission to live your life in a way that makes sense to you. You don't need validation to pursue something meaningful. And you definitely don't need to compare your progress to someone else's timeline. Just because someone else reached a milestone faster doesn't mean you're behind. Just because someone took a different route doesn't mean yours is wrong. Every choice you make, how you spend your time, what you focus on, who you surround yourself with, shapes your journey. Even the small, everyday decisions matter. Whether it's choosing to stay disciplined, take a risk, speak your truth, or break a cycle, these actions create the path you're walking on. Of course, not everything will go according to plan. Life is unpredictable. Obstacles will come and setbacks will happen, but even in those moments, you still have power. You can choose how to respond. You can choose to learn, to adapt, and to keep moving forward. That's what real control looks like. Not the absence of challenges, but the ability to keep choosing growth despite them. When you stop focusing on others and start directing that energy inward, you begin to realize that you are the author of your story. The pen is in your hand, not someone else's, so write your story with intention. Choose your path with purpose. Own your life fully because no one else can live it for you. 4. Success looks different for everyone in today's fast-paced world. Success is often presented as a one-size-fits-all formula. Earn a certain amount of money, have a specific career title, own a house, drive a nice car, or be constantly visible on social media. But the truth is, success is not universal, it's personal. What feels like success to one person might feel meaningless to another. That's why it's so important to define it for yourself rather than borrowing someone else's version. When you spend too much time looking at how others define or display their success, you risk chasing goals that were never aligned with your values, passions, or purpose. You might find yourself climbing a ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall all along. That's not success, that's performance. It's living your life to meet expectations that aren't your own. Real success is rooted in self-awareness and authenticity. It could mean raising a healthy, happy family. It could mean starting a business, making art, building a community, traveling the world, healing from trauma, or simply living in peace and balance. For some, success is about making an impact. For others, it's about finding inner contentment. Neither is better or more important. They're just different paths to fulfillment. The problem is, society tends to celebrate visible achievements, degrees, promotions, accolades, while overlooking the quieter, more personal victories. But sometimes the most meaningful forms of success are the ones that go unnoticed by the world. Getting out of bed during a tough time, breaking a toxic cycle, finally choosing your mental health over pleasing others. These are huge milestones. They may not earn applause, but they are deeply transformative. Another thing to remember is that success isn't static. What felt like success 5 years ago may not feel that way today. As you grow, your goals shift. Your needs evolve, that's natural and healthy. Success is not a final destination, but a moving target that changes with you. The key is to stay connected to what feels right for you, not what looks impressive to someone else. When you stop comparing and start reflecting inward, you give yourself permission to succeed on your own terms. You learn to measure progress not by how fast you're moving, but by how aligned you are with your truth. You begin to understand that living a life that feels right is far more important than living one that simply looks right. 5. Inner peace starts with self-focus in the midst of constant noise, fast-paced living, and endless comparison. Inner peace has become one of the rarest and most valuable things a person can experience. It's not found in popularity, possessions, or other people's approval. It's found in the quiet space of self-awareness and self-acceptance. And the path to that space begins with shifting your focus inward. When your attention is constantly on what others are doing, what they're achieving, how they're living, what they think of you, you give them power over your emotional state. Your mood rises and falls with someone else's actions. You feel unsettled, not because something is wrong with you, but because you've handed over control of your inner world to outside circumstances. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's self-preserving. It's about creating boundaries that protect your energy, your mental health, and your emotional stability. When you direct your focus inward, you begin to notice what truly affects your peace, your thoughts, your routines, your relationships, your environment. You gain clarity on what supports your well-being and what drains it. This kind of self-observation helps you make better decisions and allows you to respond to life with intention rather than react out of habit or pressure. Inner peace is not the absence of challenges or stress. It's the ability to remain grounded and centered despite them. That stability comes from knowing who you are, what you value, and what you're working toward. And you can only cultivate that kind of strength by spending time with yourself, checking in, processing your emotions, and staying aligned with your inner truth. One major source of inner conflict is trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. You feel torn between what you want and what others think you should do. You start second, guessing your choices, worrying about being judged, and constantly seeking reassurance. But when you stop trying to please everyone and start focusing on what brings you clarity, purpose, and peace, your mind becomes quieter, your heart becomes lighter, you stop living for approval and start living with authenticity. Self-focus also allows you to let go of the need to control others. You begin to realize that you can't change how others behave, how they think, or how they view you, and that's okay, because peace doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from managing how you respond to it. It's about staying rooted in your values even when the world around you feels chaotic. Ultimately, inner peace is a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. If that relationship is built on kindness, honesty, and care, you'll feel more at ease regardless of what's happening outside of you. The more you invest in understanding, accepting, and nurturing yourself, the more balanced and whole you become. And that deep, unshakable peace, it starts the moment you decide to focus on yourself, not others. 6. You are your only competition. One of the most liberating truths in life is realizing that you are not in competition with anyone else, only with the version of yourself from yesterday. Society often tries to convince us otherwise. From a young age, we're placed in environments that rank, rate, and compare grades, sports, appearances, careers, and lifestyles. Over time, we internalize this belief that we must constantly outdo others to prove our worth. But real meaningful growth isn't about surpassing someone else. It's about surpassing who you were yesterday. It's about improvement, not superiority. It's about looking in the mirror and asking, how can I be better today than I was before? That mindset removes the pressure of competing with the world and replaces it with a healthier, more sustainable focus on your personal development. When you see others as competition, you may start to act out of fear, envy, or pride. You begin chasing goals just to win instead of pursuing what genuinely fulfills you. You may even start to measure your value based on how others perform, which leads to constant anxiety, burnout, or dissatisfaction, no matter how much you achieve. But when you shift your mindset to compete only with yourself, your motivation becomes internal. You work hard because you want to grow, not because you're trying to keep up or prove something. This mindset also fosters a greater sense of compassion and cooperation. You stop seeing others as threats and start seeing them as fellow travelers on their own unique journeys. You can celebrate their wins without feeling smaller, and you can be inspired by their progress without questioning your own. Everyone is running a different race with different starting lines, obstacles, and goals. Comparing them doesn't make sense. The only fair and meaningful measure is how far you've come compared to where you started. Being your own competition also means embracing your own pace. Progress is not always fast or flashy. Sometimes growth is slow, messy, and invisible to others. That doesn't make it any less real. In fact, some of the most important changes, like healing, learning patience, or building self-discipline, happen quietly. When your focus is on being better than you were, even small steps count as victories. Another powerful benefit of this mindset is that it builds resilience. When setbacks come, and they will, you won't see them as signs that you've failed in comparison to others. You'll see them as part of your own evolving process. You'll reflect, learn, adjust, and continue. That's what self-competition encourages: persistence, self-honesty, and long-term growth. By choosing to focus on becoming a better version of yourself, day by day, you take back control of your narrative. You set goals that matter to you, you track your own progress, not someone else's, and you stop living under the shadow of someone else's life. Because in the end, the only person you truly need to outperform is the person you were yesterday. 7. Self-investment brings long-term rewards. One of the most powerful and transformative decisions you can make in life is to invest in yourself. In a world where it's easy to get caught up in pleasing others, chasing trends, or reacting to external demands, choosing to pour time, energy, and resources into your personal growth is both a radical and necessary act. And while it may not always deliver immediate results, the long-term rewards of self-investment are profound and life-changing. Self-investment means making your development, well-being, and goals a priority. It could involve improving your physical health through consistent exercise and good nutrition, sharpening your mind through education or skill building, or nurturing your emotional well-being through therapy, journaling, or setting boundaries. It might also look like taking the time to rest, explore your passions, or pursue creative projects, not because someone else told you to, but because it enriches your life and strengthens your sense of identity. When you consistently invest in yourself, you're not just becoming more capable. You're becoming more self-reliant, confident, and fulfilled. You build the internal foundation needed to face life's inevitable challenges. You create a toolkit of habits, mindsets, and resources that you can rely on no matter what the world throws your way. This kind of strength isn't built overnight, but it's incredibly durable once established. One of the greatest benefits of self-investment is clarity. The more you understand yourself, your values, your boundaries, your strengths, and your weaknesses, the easier it becomes to make decisions that align with your true goals. You stop wasting time on things that don't serve you. You stop chasing validation. You begin to move through life with a sense of purpose, direction, and authenticity. There is also a compounding effect to self-investment. Just like with financial savings, the earlier and more consistently you invest, the greater the returns. Small, daily actions like reading, reflecting, exercising, or learning new skills may not seem impressive at first, but over time they lead to massive personal transformation. Years down the line, you'll look back and realize that the life you're living is the direct result of the quiet, disciplined choices you made for yourself. And while external achievements can fade, job titles can change, money can come and go, relationships may shift, what you build inside yourself stays. The confidence, discipline, self-awareness, and resilience that come from consistent self-investment become part of who you are. They can't be taken away because they're rooted in your inner foundation. Additionally, investing in yourself sets a powerful example for those around you. It teaches others, especially those who look up to you, that it's not only okay to prioritize personal growth, it's essential. It creates a ripple effect, encouraging a culture where growth, healing, and self-respect are valued. Ultimately, the time and energy you put into yourself are never wasted. Every moment spent becoming stronger, wiser, calmer, or more capable is a gift to your future self. It's the groundwork for a life of deeper meaning, stronger relationships, and greater peace. When you choose to invest in your growth, you're planting seeds that will continue to bear fruit, not just for weeks or months, but for the rest of your life.